Chapter 5. When something is too perfect or too much of a coincidence, I employ my own version of Occam's razor. I was born in 1970. I often reflect and ask myself, what are the chances that I was born at the exact moment to be in the perfect position to see the screen reality transform from something that appeared to be legitimate at the time of my birth to transform into a bozo show, a show fit for an insane asylum? How was it that I was at the perfect place at the right time to see reality expose itself before me? The chances of that is, at best, 1 in billions. Therefore, I must assume that all of this was not a coincidence at all, that it was meant to be this way, with the chances not being 1 in a billion, but rather 1 to 1, or 100%. At times, I think all of this is for me, or better put, for us, because I don't believe in solipsism. I know a small group of us is on a similar journey, and we see the same things. It appears to be a reality that, at its very core, is designed to facilitate a wake-up in some people. As time goes on, this theory is being proven true more and more. However, as perfect as the timing was for me to facilitate my wake-up, it's likely it only seems that way to me. It's a bit naive to believe I just happened to find myself right in the middle of the perfect set of circumstances to, quote, wake up. Although it seems impossible to us, someone born in 1905 who lived to, say, 1980 may have had a very similar experience that we are having. This person may have said to himself, what are the chances I was born at exactly the right time for reality to be revealed to me? We think that must be impossible, though, because we've witnessed a somewhat normal world of, say, 1980 evolve into something where, for example, millions of kids are looking to become something else, with the letter T sponsored by Sesame Street. Of course, this is one strange example among thousands of what we're witnessing, and we could not have comprehended any of this stuff being possible just 20 years ago. How could the man of 1905, or born in 1905, have experienced a similar breakdown to what we just witnessed? I know it seems impossible, but I sense that a small group in every time period has a similar opportunity provided by reality itself. Of course, coming in different ways. They don't have what we see, kids wondering which one they are with the letter T sponsored by Sesame Street. They had things that maybe seemed benign to us, but was just as impactful of a wake-up tool in the time period in which they lived. If reality is a wake-up mechanism, at least for a small group, I doubt it was just buying its time for hundreds of thousands of years, waiting for 1970 to start its play just for me. One last note about me and my intention in delivering these chapters. Remember, in discussing how reality works, I'm not convincing you of anything or trying to convince you of anything. In my opinion, I'm simply telling you things that you already know, but were hidden or taken from you. How much is able to be remembered and revealed depends on the level of the person listening. Words are lacking here. This is hard to talk about, so we use stupid terms like old soul, but you know what I mean. Maybe we'll correct our verbiage later, but an old soul, put like that, is ready to see everything and not wanting to have to do this all over again. This dark system that exists all around us, that I call the screen, can never stamp out and remove the highest truth buried inside real people. All it can do is hide you from the reason you're playing this spiritual game by trying to fog you over. Your inner knowing is a fire that it can't extinguish, no matter how much you fell for its tricks in the past. However, most people, like our friends and family, assist the screen in hiding the knowledge inside themselves, knocking one's own inner light down to a dim level, where the master trick gains even more influence. The AI seems to be the next step in its patient progression of spiritual degradation in most people. The good news is, they can't do it to you directly. It may be possible for people to cut their own spiritual ties, but never forget, if that can be done at all, they need people to do it to themselves. It's possible that people can make themselves into Gollum from Lord of the Rings. If you remember from the movie, that was a normal hobbit before it evolved into Gollum, coveting the precious. Potentially can turn real boy Pinocchio into spiritual wood. As we've talked about in the past, there's a group of no consequences people that deny or would disagree with what I just said, But for now, we can't ignore the possibility that there could be winners and losers. Okay? For now, I can't ignore the possibility that I'm able to give a soul token away. Let's just let that go for now, knowing that the no consequences people would say that that's not possible. We'll talk about it more later. But look around at what your friends and family are becoming, and look how hard it works. What's it working so hard for? Today, most people's inner light is dim, if you want to put it that way, and does not seem to be able to overcome the strength of the trick. As usual, there's always good news for a few of us at least. You have to choose to screw yourself in this place. If this game has winners and losers, the beautiful news is it's all up to us. It's up to me if I win. It's completely up to you if to win or not. It doesn't matter who you're taking the court against, basketball against LeBron James. It's up to you if you want to win. It's not up to LeBron James or whatever he represents. This is the best news of all time. But some people wouldn't see that as good news. They want the victimhood, some people. They don't want it to be in their hands, winning and losing's up to them. And, Matt, look, these elite, these controllers, the Illuminati, and they're screwing us over here and they're screwing us over there. They are screwing us over there. That's part of what their role is here, to screw. But it's not victimhood, okay? It's not, I'm so powerless and they're screwing me. If you take that approach, that's exactly what it wants, and you're done. There is no victim. People want to be victims because it takes the responsibility away from them. They don't want the responsibility. I think the people listening to this do. Self-power was a key theme in the movie The Wizard of Oz. Dorothy didn't realize it. She took the bait. She begged for answers and solutions from the losers that roamed around Oz. Yeah, losers that roamed around Oz who were lesser beings than she was. She ran around on quests when she didn't have to. Remember Glenda, the good witch, saying that Dorothy always had the power to return home? No, she didn't need those tacky red Walmart slippers either. When inside the wizard's castle, she should have said back to that floating head, "Get the damn witch's broom yourself, you ugly bastard. And for Christ's sake, turn that smoke machine off. Look what it's doing to Toto's coat." The Wizard of Oz is perhaps the biggest truth drop movie of all time. Dorothy always had the power to return home. She just didn't realize it. Think about this. The witch never harmed Dorothy during the entire time the movie was going on. She knew she was in Oz the moment she arrived, when she showed up in Munchkin Land. She couldn't harm Dorothy. Nothing a damn thing she could do to a real person like that. What did the witch do, though? The one thing she was able to do to Dorothy, what was it? It's same old tactic. Put Dorothy to sleep. That's what it does. That's what the assholes do here. She was tricked into attacking the witch by a minion of Oz. Dorothy was the only real person there. She was basically an Oz's version of solipsism. The witch was like George Soros, a minion of this world. The lion, the Tin Man, the Scarecrow could have been a representation of NPC types of that realm, who perhaps could be similar to things here. We'll talk about the NPC later. We don't know if that exists or not. But maybe the NPCs as presented in The Wizard of Oz could someday graduate to become one day real boy Pinocchios. Remember, the wizard basically pointed out to the three of them, the Scarecrow, Lion, and Tin Man, that they already possessed what they sought. So he just gave them some useless piece of shit trinket. Here, you want a heart? Here you go. Take this plastic piece of shit. That's what he was saying. You already have this shit. Proven by the brainless Scarecrow went on to teach at Yale, and their GPA improved the day he arrived on campus. Through the ruse of governments, authority, academia, and all sorts of different types of minions, the highest knowledge has been hidden from us for a long time. The millions who support the general reality trick are not aware of what they're serving. The problem is, most people look to society's authority for answers to the biggest questions in life. That's like asking Alec Baldwin on how to raise their children. Part of the screen's trick is to tempt people to look outward for the answers when they possess the knowledge themselves. It teaches all of us to run around Oz on quests. The bogus Grail quest. It is bogus if you go searching for what it says you should be searching for. If you search for what the Grail really represents, that we'll talk about later, that's what you should be doing. That's what this entire reality does, presents a bogus Grail quest that most people go out and follow. It's all about getting people to look for the wrong things. That's one reason this reality is riddled with endless mystery. There are 100,000 baited hooks to draw your attention out there, away from yourself. For example, people ponder, what secret knowledge lies inside the Vatican Library? This mystery is propagated by TV shows like 60 Minutes and the movies like The Da Vinci Code 2, Angels and Demons. Certainly there must be real answers inside places like that we're not allowed to enter. Bullcrap. I wouldn't trade my 2-bit Chester County library card for a Vatican library card. I assure you there's nothing down there that can assist a real person like you. The Da Vinci Code second movie, Angels and Demons, showed us the parchments down there are so important and so valuable, Robert Langdon almost got hanged for tearing out a single page from one book. To real people, the Vatican Library is Archie and Jughead comics. It's useless shit, like Schopenhauer. The biggest truths are hidden inside us right now. And inside us is a place they can never get to, or it can never get to unless we choose to give it the key. What do most people do? They hand their key over to Dracula willingly. Hey, Dracula! Are you Dracula?
Yes, what do you... Go away!
No, Dracula, come here!
What do you want?
I'd like to give you my key.
To what?
My soul!
I'll take it.
There is yet another truth drop from the Shawshank Redemption movie, but Andy talked about music, in this case, being inside him, and they can't get to that. He said, didn't you ever feel that way about music? Had Mr. Mozart down there to keep me company? Music, they can't get to that. Just saying there's many things inside a real person they can't get to unless it's given. Society and culture has done a masterful job at cutting you off from spiritual truth, but they can't complete the job with what they have to work with. If you see the trick, you can create your own armor and protection yourself. Anything that works so hard to propagate a trick does not have the upper hand, I assure you. You have the upper hand. The world teaches you that you have no power. It says you must look to its assholes in authority for answers. They are shown to be in power. You are not in power. They make the big decisions in areas where someone like you shouldn't dabble. Then idiot TV shows with even greater assholes like Bill Maher analyze the rulings using the debate of who is right and who is wrong to subconsciously convey to you that they have the right to decide these things in the first place. Do you see the evil genius that we're dealing with here? Once again, the rule of opposites applies. What have people been trained to do by authority? People are conditioned to run to some website that will debunk me. Debunk? Oh, that's been debunked, Matt. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll never make another video. Google will tell you what is real in the world. And if you're not in line with what Google says about how the world works, then you're a loon. As the places people can go for answers get smaller and smaller year after year, it gives away how artificial the dissemination of real information is. There are now only 5 major media companies that provide all the, quote, news in the United States. In the UK, there's the BBC, and the BBC. In China, we even have to talk about that. In Russia, there's Vladimir Putin's state-controlled news and his sock puppet Lamb Chop. Google is basically the only search engine anyone uses. First-grade truthers seek out alternative search engines, somehow believing they're not all part of the same system. Now, AI large language models like ChatGPT will tell you in a millisecond what is true in this world. Soon the AI God will not be questioned by anyone. Next year, someone at my family's Thanksgiving table will ask ChatGPT, who is quantum of conscience, and do his positions have any merit? The Chad will respond in a millisecond to them, Matt McKinley is a known loon, and that will squash what little respect remains for me in my own family. Of course, nothing from authority will ever tell you the ultimate truths of this existence. Well, do the minions know that, Matt? I personally don't think so. I think 99% of the minions don't, but even if they all don't, something here at the top of the creepy org chart does, because it's expert at blocking your spiritual progression, your spiritual path. Whatever they take instructions from, whether they're consciously aware of it or not, it knows. Okay, whether some minions that sit down on a table actually know, it doesn't matter. Back to my Thanksgiving table, once these large language models like ChatGPT or whatever develops over just the next year or two, once that becomes trusted and replaces the trust that Google and the search engines have, then the chat at that point will be able to parrot back in the 1984 version of how anything works on Earth, the 1984 version, which is even farther from the truth, and your friends and family will bow down to it. I mean, the developing AI will be an even more powerful tool for crushing free thinking. There's that movie with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson where they're trying to become interns at Google, the internship, and they're debating with their team members. They have young kids on the team. They're older, of course. That's the comedy of it. And the 20-year-olds are saying, no, you guys are wrong. I just Googled it. They make them look like idiots because they're trying to get an internship at Google. I just Googled it, and look what it says. The god Google will tell you what is real in this world. Half the time, you don't even have to look at websites. Google will just present the answer. Well, I'm saying as people bow down to that now, the large language models and ChatGPT, that'll even be that on steroids in just 2 or 3 years. So to your friends and family, it's all rather normal that the sources of news is moving closer each year towards a single outlet in the world, mimicking the Ministry of Information from Orwell. We see that it's already here, of course, and the various places to go are a facade. It's all coming from the same source now, but they're not even lying about it. I mean, it goes from 10 major news sources where it was 100 years past. Then it's 6. Now it's 5. But your friends and family, there's nothing wrong with that. Just makes sense, and we're one of those people. Absurd stories like the Chinese spy balloon tell you how coordinated it all is right now. No source of, quote, news anywhere ever has a different take on the story itself. The only time the news ever offers up a difference is when it's a political issue that's slanted to conservative or Republican side, or this is the way the Democrats see it and the liberals see it. If it's political, they'll present slants just with the glasses of each political party. But if it's news, did any of them say anything other than exactly what was presented with the ridiculous Chinese spy balloon? This is a fact. The Chinese spy balloon came over Alaska. It came down. They all reported the exact same thing. Not one ever gets out of line and suggests something a little bit different might be going on. To us, it gives the whole situation away in like 30 seconds. To our family, we're just lunatics. How nobody gets out of line ever, again, gives reality away. For example, a story by a news outlet that we have heard of that would suggest, well, maybe this Chinese spy balloon isn't even from China. Maybe the United States is doing this to drum up a cause for additional military spending or new Raytheon and Lockheed Martin defense contracting. They'll never, ever get out of line. That's just normal to your friends and family. It's completely normal that there's just only one take on absolutely everything, and every single news source matches up with that take. Guys, before reading the next section, the people here are quite advanced, and you don't really need to do this exercise. You'll see where I'm going with this. Kim Jong-un is a great inner knowing exercise that we can do right now. This is a spiritual perception exercise for our inner tuning fork, kind of like bench pressing at the gym, but for the spiritual side of us. Go to the web right now and look closely at the many pictures of Kim Jong-un on Google Images. Demand that your inner knowing tell you the truth about what he really is. Know that you have the power to remove the fog that society has placed over you. If you need to, stand up right now and scream out like He-Man, "I have the power!" Maybe not. Connect to the part of you, though, that's not here in this earth reality system, or the part some call higher self. When you look at the North Korean dictator, do you notice the same dumb scripted poses, image after image? Do you notice his undead generals following him around with notepads like something great is going to come out of his fat mouth that needs to be written down? It's amazing some guy isn't bent over walking behind him, holding a bottle at the level of his ass in order to collect his dear scent. After close examination of the pictures and letting your inner knowing work for you, I put it to you, Greg, is Kim Jong-un number one? An evil dictator with nuclear weapons capable of starting World War III at any moment? Or is he a useful idiot, paid in hot dogs and rewarded for his role as puppet by visits from Dennis Rodman? Which one is it? Of course, no real spiritual being with a desire to wake up can get this one wrong. That little roly-poly man is an absolute joke. He can't even shave his own legs without permission. Be patient, old souls. We had to start off with an easy one. People listening are at different levels. Mr. Author, if you're not a lunatic, can I ask you a question? Oh, sure. Go right ahead. If this Kim Jong-un is just playing a role like an actor playing the part of a dictator, who does he take orders from then? Oh, I don't know, but it's likely China is his handler, but it matters not. We live in a one-world system with one basically creepy table that decides everything important. Even if some differences exist between countries like China, Russia, and the United States, a long time ago a system of collusion developed, creating basically one system. These countries are not at odds with each other as presented on the news. What? Mr. Author, then how do they serve their own people? They don't. None of them are there to serve their own people. They're aligned with each other. The story of the U.S. being at odds with Russia is a joke. They even give it away because, they're at odds over here, almost going to war. But then they're, working together on the space missions and the green screens. Come on, man. They have to give it away from time to time. If they ever do go to war, they'll agree to go to war for a shared and predetermined outcome. Nothing is more fake than how the Middle East was divided up arbitrarily after World War I via the Sykes-Picot Treaty. Go watch the movie Lawrence of Arabia. It's a massive truth drop. It shows us how artificial it would have been, the creation of Saudi Arabia, with the movie giving you just a glimpse as to what the tribes looked like that were there. It was a state created, of course, for what we know of as the West. Watch the movie A Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe playing John Nash and his Nobel Prize. It's likely that this model of collusion is the foundation by which everything is still based. This reality is not The Truman Show, where all the actors have a full understanding that they're playing a part. Not at all how this reality works. Most minions of the screen fully believe in their roles, to me, in my opinion, which means they're not even aware they're playing a role. Most of the minions on Earth are fooled into believing their roles. Even higher-level cartoon characters, like Santa Claus Schwab, are role players that likely believe in what they're doing. Most don't realize they're living inside of a role written by a greater Shakespeare. In my opinion, most don't see how they're being used by this thing we call the screen. Now, my words will be warped and taken out of context, not just by trolls. People hear what they want to hear. I didn't say none of them are in on it. Did I say that? I said far, far fewer than we could have imagined. First-grade truthers think all these minions are in on it, and tens of millions somehow keep their mouths shut, all paid and threatened. That's absurd to me. Those that believe in their roles don't need to be given any lines and cue cards because they fully believe in their roles. These acting lessons filter all the way down to your Aunt Ginny or your neighbor. They are playing the roles that this system wants them to play. They believe they are their job, or they believe they are their pronoun or their lifestyle choice. See, they're not that much different as you work up the minion org chart. I'm basically saying, in this reality, we see Truman come around the corner, and he's going to go to this hot dog vendor, and we're up in the tower. We can see through it. You and I can see through it at this point. I don't want to be right there next to that Christoph in the tower, Ed Harris, but we see what's happening. It's all a show, right? But I'm saying the hot dog guy in the Truman Show, he's an actor. Here comes Truman. To get ready with your hot dogs. Everybody knows it's a TV show. I'm saying the hot dog guy that serves to Truman, we're seeing an act, but the hot dog guy believes he's a real hot dog guy. That's how it usually works in this reality, and I'm somewhat sure about it. Matt, in your state of Pennsylvania, you've had complete degenerate senators like Casey and Arlen Specter that they're around decade after decade. Surely they know how everything works. Nope. Not in my opinion. Are there a few? Of course. But it's small group. Most are useful idiots. Arlen Specter, even involved with the magic bullet theory, I don't think even somebody like that knows anywhere near how reality works as much as you and I do at this point. Again, don't twist my words. Have you ever heard me say there's creeps at this table that understand the inner workings and the fabric of reality? They pull reality buttons and levers. Think of the people that pulled off something that happened in 2001. Yeah, at that dark level, yeah, they know a whole lot more than me and you with their fingers on whatever CERN is, their hands on reality buttons and levers. I'm saying Arlen Specter represents the majority, just this huge bucket of useful idiots, and I don't think they know shit. We're talking about the theme of people, even your neighbor, right down to the lowest level, believing in the role that this dark reality assigned for them. Okay, and them not being much different than a senator of the United States. If they believe, again, remember, they're their job, they're their lifestyle choice, they're their pronoun, all that. Now, there's a massive truth drop in Dances with Wolves again. Some of these movies like Shawshank and Dances with Wolves, truth drop after truth drop. In the beginning, Kevin Costner as John Dunbar was playing the role the dark reality assigned to him. He's a soldier in the Civil War. Puts his hands out as he's riding the horse. The Christ symbolism, of course, it's all there on purpose. The entire movie, though, is about abandoning the role assigned by a fake world and discovering the authentic role, the one assigned by you or your spiritual self. Kicking Bird says to him about an hour and a half into the movie, "Now we're very pleased. We see you're walking the path of a real human being." At the end of this book, I'm basically going to tell you to throw the whole thing away and just take one page of takeaways with, and this will be one. Very simple stuff. Every day, are you playing the role that this dark reality assigns for you to play? Or are you playing the genuine role, the true role? We'll talk about Bagger Vance soon, the one true authentic swing. It's not a golf swing, it's a course in life. Are you playing the role it wants you to play or your genuine role? The takeaways at the end are quite simple. Now, in contrast, let's look at the non-authentic role that a whole group of millions upon millions of people in the United States and the West have been fooled into playing. This is I don't know what I can say. This is a certain month, but hey, somebody could be listening to this, years from now. You don't know what month it is. They'll do this. She's got a ticket to pride. She's got a ticket to pride. But that's me singing the Beatles. Oh my God, there could be copyright for that. You know what I'm talking about. It's an alphabet group. Are they playing the genuine spiritual role that they should be playing, that a part of them that maybe somewhere else is calling for? Or are they playing the exact role that this reality wants? Is there anything more obvious than how that group has been fooled? And of course, I'm not talking about a choice of who you want to be with. I mean, most people here are about absolute freedom. We don't care who you want to be with. I mean, that's not it at all. It's the role and the way you go about it, if I'm talking to anybody in that group, the role of what the system lays down, and you take the bait every time. The presentation of it has nothing to do with the choice itself. We don't care about that. The movie Bagger Vance is not about golf. It's about life. The caddy, Bagger Vance, played by Will Smith in the movie, says to Matt Damon, "You lost your swing. We got to go find it." Again, Bagger didn't give Matt Damon a golf swing. His one true authentic swing was always inside Matt, but it was lost and hidden. It had to be rediscovered. Here in the movie, the swing is the spiritual path. We got to help you go find it. Bagger was much more of a spiritual guru and guide than a caddy. Bagger was more the Dalai Lama than Caddyshack's D'Annunzio. Actually, Ty Webb may be more spiritual than the Dalai Lama of today, but we'll just let that go. In Bagger Vance, Matt Damon's one true authentic swing had to be found and then let out on the golf course. Your true understanding of who you really are spiritually and the associated metaphysical truths of this reality that go along with that are buried inside you somewhere too, like Matt Damon's golf swing. They have to be let out in this lifetime. The ultimate truth is in all of us right now, and we're each helping each other rediscover it. You have an inner tuning fork that will ring true if you know how to listen to it. If you put the work into clearing away your own fog, then you will all of a sudden see the truth. Over time, your truth tuning fork will get even more and more powerful. Kim Jong-un, as we started off with this example, is an easy one. When you hone your skills, no minion of this false reality screen will ever be able to fool you again. If you've ever pondered life's biggest questions and the meaning of life, congratulations. I can now give you the best news of all time. Here it is. You are a real person. I hope you weren't let down. Being a real person is the greatest thing inside this crafted universe. Trust me, it's way better than learning Akeem is your real dad and you're the sole heir to Zamunda. Being real is the best news of all time because the ramifications of it go way beyond this lifetime. They go beyond time and space to a place Elon Musk can never visit. What? What do you mean by I'm a real person? What's so great about that? Everybody's the same here, right? Nope, probably not. Well, If I'm real, then I guess that implies there's fake people too. Well, it might. Yeah, we're not sure, but it could. We'll never know, but it's possible. At the very minimum, we know there are different kinds of people here, potentially different spiritual incarnations. We'll get to that, but we need to start small and stay with the good news. You wouldn't be reading this or listening to this if you were not a real being. A minion of this system or an NPC type or whatever else exists here wouldn't be interested in what's being discussed. Man, or the category of woman, is simply the shell of this place in a temporary lifetime or train stop. Our use of, quote, real as terminology has nothing to do with picking a pronoun. I don't mean real man either, like Lawrence Fishburne as Furious said to his son Trey in Boys in the Hood. He said something like, Trey, come here, Trey. Any fool can dip his wick, but it takes a real man to raise his son. I'm not talking about that kind of real man at all. What I said means you're real spiritually real, immortal, timeless, incorporeal, as well as in the flesh at the same time. That's really something. If you presented yourself on America's Got Talent, just standing there, you should win. But they'd throw you off the stage, favoring some girl who does a Brie Larson impersonation. For us, this life on Earth is like Arnold Schwarzenegger going to Recall and buying his Mars secret agent package. At least in the beginning, life starts off as a very believable experience. To you and I in the past, this world was an impressive and legitimate illusion. In Total Recall, Arnold thought he was a steroided-up version of 007 trying to save Mars. We all get fooled for a while. For years, you thought you were a TPS report manager working for a German pharmaceutical company. We are brainwashed to identify with the things associated with this material plane, and as people cozy up to them, that hides the spiritual truth from us. Most people think all this bullshit on Earth is real. Like it makes sense we're on some planet that somehow has an oxygen atmosphere that stays magically glued to the ball, floating inside 400 trillion square miles of vacuum. If that was the plot of a sci-fi movie, people would walk the F out. How do these planets end up being perfectly round? What was the center of mass that didn't exist, that pulled all the little pieces together into a perfect round ball after the Big Bang? What smoothed the Earth out to make the perfect bowling ball? If there was any truth in how planets and moons were formed, the Earth and Mars and other planets would look more like Chernobyl potatoes than perfect circles. If the Big Bang was a random explosion, why do all the planets go around the sun in the same direction? Why do they, quote, go round on a level plane called the ecliptic instead of flying all over the damn place? Isn't the Big Bang the apex of entropy, meaning chaos? So inside the most massive display of entropy of all time times a trillion, you have endless examples of order bucking the trend of chaos, like all the planets on the ecliptic? Science's explanation of space is more stupider than MTV's ridiculousness. Here's some good news. Real people have the chance to separate from the illusion of this place and rediscover their spiritual nature. Now, isn't that better than winning a new speedboat in a showcase showdown? Also, a characteristic of a real person is it means that you're a spiritual part of something that always has been and always will be, that is not bound to this place. It's likely that a part of you isn't even inside this snow globe here anyway now. Yes, you are here, but you also transcend this place at the same time. A real spirit is immortal. It does not fear death because it can't die. It's likely there are other types of entities here with us. They have the same body as we do, but they're not the same as you and I spiritually. Also, there possibly could be background characters here called NPCs. If they exist, those people may not have the ability to ever separate from the illusion of this place. It may mean that they can never, quote, wake up, as we are doing, because there's nothing for them to wake up to. They might not have another aspect to them, as we almost certainly do. I don't spend a lot of time on discussing the NPC, because we just don't know. This is our own personal journey anyway. Saying that you always will be after death probably means that you always have been before birth. I know that's hard for our mind, in this body at least, to wrap our head around, to comprehend. Quote, always will be and always have been. Wow, that's not 100 years. That ain't even 1,000,000 years. 10 million years is nothing compared to always will be. It's really time for all of us to just break the brainwashing, and it's hard to do because they've been hitting us with it since birth. Just at the very basic level, let's break the brainwashing. I mean, you're not an old black man with a fat gut sticking out over your leather belt. You're a spiritual being that is timeless, who just happened to be, or just happens to now be, an arthritic body for a little while. You're not a middle-aged white woman whose kids won't speak to you anymore. You're an immortal soul having this experience on earth. You are spirit with a part of you residing in a body on earth and another part of you that's likely not even here in this dimension. Some people call that higher self or oversoul. There's different names. You are it, and it is you. If you had full knowledge of it, there'd be no point to this exercise, this life on earth. This place here only works if it is believed in, and that only works if the mystery of death remains intact. That's so important. Let me go away from the book so we can revisit this just for a minute before continuing. This place only works if the mystery of death remains intact. As a basic example or parallel, somebody can go get tickets to see a famous magician like David Copperfield or Chris Angel. We'll keep it at David Copperfield because I know there are people yelling at me, Chris Angel, he works with demons. I don't want to get into any of that. Okay, forget that. Forget I even mentioned it. But you go see David Copperfield, you know he's not making the whole bridge disappear, right? Does anybody think he's really cutting the lady in half? No. But the point is, so we know he's not really doing it. The point is, if you knew how he was doing it, if you knew exactly how he was doing it, you wouldn't be at the show. You would have no interest. That's exactly the situation is with life. The mystery of death has to remain. However, here's the problem. We have all these NDE or ADE experiences, near-death experiences, and people fly around the astral or go out of body, and all these different people saying all these different things. Now, many say this is a real glimpse beyond the veil. Many say this is a window into life after death. Well, I have a little bit of a problem with that, because if that's the case, I know for a fact the mystery of death is essential to this life experience. And if anybody has a window into what's in the true afterlife, whether they're flying around the astral or whatever it may be, an NDE, that means, like we've talked about in the last few months, so I'll be brief, I'm off the book here, it means the creator of this realm made a mistake. I don't really believe they made a mistake. And if they did, they would be aware of the mistake and they would have corrected it. After the first NDE, the creator would have said, we don't want people to see beyond the veil. Or after the first time somebody went out of body and actually saw the true afterlife, it would have been fixed, right? The all-powerful thing or whatever made this wouldn't have the ability to fix a mistake. To me, then, it's very simple. It's not a true glimpse into the real afterlife. So we can learn about the afterlife by listening to YouTube videos, but the creator of this entire universe, your God, original source, we can get the information from YouTube videos, but the creator has no idea that this leak exists. I mean, come on. I guess some people would then say, well, if people go experience it, then we're meant, if to have those experiences, we're meant to see the afterlife. No, we're not meant to see the afterlife. There's a reason why the mystery of death has been, nothing rivals it. Nothing rivals it. It's Mount Everest against a grain of sand. It's what this entire life experience is about. It's that song, Damien Rice, Cannonball, Life Taught Me to Die, because we don't know in our other form or spiritual form, we'd have no sense of being mortal. We don't know what it's like. That's one of the whole purposes of being here. So just given away by some NDEs and people giving YouTube videos, I don't buy it. Okay, I don't. If the creator of the universe wanted us, however we relate, higher self relates to source, whatever. We're not going to get into that right now. If they wanted us to know, we'd know. But seeing that the mystery is such a huge part of this life experience, I don't think people having an ND or flying around the astral going out of body and they're just giving everything away. And if they did, I think the creator would be powerful enough to fix the problem. So I don't buy it. People will twist my words. Matt doesn't believe in any NDE experiences. Matt doesn't believe anybody can astral travel. Matt doesn't believe anybody can go out of body. I didn't say that. I'm saying those experiences are completely real. I'm saying it's not a true glimpse into the afterlife. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So to close this out, I'm completely off the book now, and in this chapter actually has gotten too long. I'm breaking it up into two. If all these people came before me, They'd say, don't you believe my experience? I'd say, I absolutely believe your experience. Don't you believe I can travel out of body? Absolutely. But if you say you saw the afterlife, I don't believe you. Let me return to the absolute basics. We'll wrap this up just so you can get your thoughts around what you believe here. Do you believe what I believe in the first sense, that the mystery of death is essential to this whole life experience? To me, it's all based on that. Experiencing mortality, where maybe, again, in our other form, we don't. Damien Rice, life taught me to die. The Brad Pitt scene from Troy, the gods envy us, because in interpretation of what Brad Pitt didn't say in that video, the gods envy us because we're in this experience, we're experiencing mortality. Brad Pitt says to Perseus, knowing this moment could be our last, everything becomes more beautiful. The gods envy us. That doesn't mean the gods, or whatever he refers to as the gods, although he has to keep it in that sense because it's Achilles and Zeus and whatever he refers to, whatever that really means. It's like we're no different from them that envy us. They envy us because we're having the mortal experience, something they can't have in the spiritual realm, or we can't have in the spiritual realm. So I think almost everyone would agree. I mean, think of all the different religions of Valhalla and all the places you go after death, and we don't know, and the mystery of it. Okay, I think it's pretty clear, and I can speak for you, that the mystery of death is essential, more than anything else, in my opinion, to this entire life experience. Okay, we agree. Now, if that's the case, you're going to think it was actually revealed by people coming back and giving their little testimonies. Well, the Creator knows, Matt, they won't be believed. And okay, I don't, because there's different takes on it as well. The take of somebody going into the astral, the out-of-body. Matt, nobody that says they ever went into the astral says they saw the afterlife. Okay, I don't travel astrally. Okay, you understand basically what I'm saying. Maybe my semantic or the terminology is a little wrong. All I'm saying is a lot of people have come forth with a variety of different experiences. We'll just put it like that. And many believe they have seen beyond, or the afterlife. All I'm saying is, they saw something, but who knows how many dimensions, and it's just layers inside this reality. How many layers are inside our own reality? I come up later talking about this is an arcade game, inside a mall, inside a bigger mall, like a fractal. They saw that stuff, in my opinion. I don't think they saw the true afterlife. If they did, the creator of this reality system made a mistake, knows about the mistake, and failed to fix the mistake, because there's no doubt that the mystery of what happens when one passes is essential to this entire game. I don't believe the creator made a mistake and that he's unaware. And we're aware because we watch YouTube videos, but the creator's not. If it was a mistake and people aren't supposed to experience the real afterlife, I think that entity would have been powerful enough to fix it. Therefore, I don't buy that anybody ever saw the afterlife until they're really dead. Then we can't talk to them anymore. Thanks for listening.